What it do, family and friends? Welcome back to the Church of Black Power, and welcome to the Still On Point series, second episode. And in this episode, I would like to analyze the interaction in between Dr. Khalid Muhammad, rest in glorious power, and Donahue. This was my introduction to Khalid Muhammad. And to be honest with you, I haven't really came across another brother that is as militant in his mind frame and education as Dr. Khalid Muhammad, and I love it. Not saying that there isn't, but what I am saying is this was somebody who made my ears stand up when I heard him speak. I've heard many of the debates that he's been a part of, and we're going to have those in the Still On Point series as well. But for today, we're going to be looking at the Donahue episode that turned me on to Dr. Khalid Muhammad. And we're going to analyze whether or not what he's saying in 1994, whether or not it still applies, whether it's still applicable to us in 2024. This is a 20-year-old clip. Not a clip, excuse me. This is a 20-year-old broadcast. Okay? So what I would like to look at is if 20 years later, 20 years after this Donahue broadcast, are we still in the same conditions that our dear brother Dr. Khalid Muhammad was speaking about? So let's get into it, family.
Thank you. How are you? How are you? This is Khalid Muhammad, former national representative of Minister Louis Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam. Mr. Muhammad is the man who made so many of the front pages of America's newspapers with a speech at Kean College, which so many people called anti-Semitic and a lot of things. At the very least, racist. You remember the comment? He picked up the Pope's dress, and let's see what's under that dress. Here's what you said about Colin Ferguson, the man who shot a Jamaican black male who shot 6 people on the Long Island train. Mr. Muhammad speaks.
Where they set black inmates up in these jails and penitentiaries, and in particular there in Nassau County, and pulled all the black officers out and the black inmates so they could jump on Brother Colin Ferguson because they were mad with him for catching the Long Island train and killing all them white folks. I love Colin Ferguson. I have no official position, so I can say I love him.
You love a man who randomly killed 6 people on a commuter train?
I love Colin Ferguson just as much as the masses of white Americans love General Schwarzkopf, General Westmoreland, General Patton, General MacArthur, and Eisenhower. America awards her killers, and they get ribbons and stripes and bars. I'm sensitive to the pain and suffering of the loss of life on that train, but I'm one of the rebellious slaves. And so when black people stand up out of pain and suffering and frustration, I understand after 500 years.
You also... Let's just start there. Whenever you see a black intellect on any TV show, a real black intellect, okay, whether it be Dr. Khalid Muhammad, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Minister Farrakhan, it doesn't matter who it is. But whenever we get a black intellect speaking on one of these shows or speaking on one of these programs, you always see the napkin host try to make anything that's said or what's said, they'll take it out of context and then try to make it seem like you support a certain type of person. You support violent people or people being violent. And one of the things that I loved about Dr. Khalid Muhammad and as well as Malcolm X and a lot of our other scholarly brothers is that they had no problem turning that back around on these people, calling out the hypocrisy of these folks, asking him why he would love one of our brothers when they glorify these racist, bigoted people. And then they want to ask you why you still support someone that did something that they don't like. But as my brother said, we can empathize and sympathize with people who is a part of our community because we know the pain that we've been through. We know the detrimental situations that's been thrown into our communities. We understand and overstand and understand that no matter what, we're going to be demonized. Even by the demons themselves. Let's continue.
You talk about the response of some African Americans to, for example, the book which attempts to prove that the Jews are involved in the slave trade. I'd be happy to let them see that. You talk about when white folks can't defeat you, you said in your speech at Kane, they'll always find some Negro, some boot-licking, butt-licking, buck-dancing, bamboozle, half-baked, half-fried, sissified, punkified, pasteurized, homogenized nigger that they can trot out in front of you.
Where's the lie? Tim Cook? Wasn't he all up on the stage? I just love you so much to Donald Trump. Django Clyburn, Stephen from Django Clyburn. Isn't he over here telling all these folks on the news that Biden don't have a problem with the black community vote? When everything shows contrary to what he's saying? Cory Booker? I can give you a whole list of these folks. Give you a whole list of those folk. So no, ain't nothing changed. And what our brother, our dear master teacher said remains. Let's continue.
I would ask you, Mr. Muhammad, is Jesse Jackson a boot-licking, homogenized nigger?
Yes. Yes, 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 some more.
To the best of his ability, I believe he tries every day to do that.
Here you are mocking Jesse Jackson at a speech, I believe this is Howard University. Roll the tape.
Oh, boot-licking, buck-dancing, scratching, shuffling, messy Jesse Jackson. Keep. I am a somebody. I am a somebody. Keep hope alive. I am a somebody. I don't rightly know who the hell I am, but I am somebody.
Tell me that ain't on point. Tell me that ain't on point. And if you haven't picked that up, I'm going to put another jewel on the table for you. Jesse Jackson said, keep hope alive. And what did Obama run his platform on? Change, without telling you who the change pertained to, and hope, which is just some shit on a whimsical, you can just hope anything could happen. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. You could go to Vegas and hope you're going to win $1 million on black. But the reality is 9 times out of 10, you're going to get stiffed. So when Jesse said keep hope alive, it doesn't go over our heads that Barack Obama kept that hope alive and gave it to you guys for your votes. And 8 years after he left the presidential office, and everybody was holding funding, holding policies, Black Americans was left holding that hope in our hands that Obama and that Jesse Messy Jackson was talking about and ran their campaign on. I just wanted to throw that out there. Let's continue.
Yeah.
Wait a second. The look on the look on our brother's face.
Somebody.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Look at that look on his face. He's looking at him like, you despicable son of a bitch. He's giving that look like if looks could kill, that would be the look right there. I guarantee it. All right, I just wanted to say that.
Are you an entertainer or are you a committed person to black people?
I'm so glad you asked that question. I believe that the liberation and salvation of the black nation must be brought about by black people gaining a thorough knowledge of self after our 500 to 6,000 year Holocaust, where we have lost over 600 million. And so I believe that that education process must be a process of 2 steps: inspiration and information. So I seriously give information, but black people are a people of rhythm and spirit, so I also give inspiration.
From your speech at Kane College in 1960, Chief Luthuli, the head of the ANC, received a Nobel Peace Prize, you reported to your audience, reminded them, for nonviolent struggle. Yes. Just like Mandela just received it with F.W. de Klerk. How could you stand with your oppressor and your enemy and receive the Nobel Prize for nonviolent struggle? You have, you do not support, then, Nelson Mandela's strategy in the struggle to free black people in South Africa?
Let us first of all be very clear here, Phil. Nelson Mandela is my brother.
So is
He
Jesse
is a member
Jackson.
of the family, and so is Jesse, and Jesse is a very brilliant man. We just want him to return home and stop being used by the enemy and the oppressor against his people. Now back to Brother Nelson Mandela. And certainly we can never mention Nelson without mentioning Winnie Mandela. But Nelson Mandela's attempt at a multiracial government in South Africa after the murder of men, women, children, and babies, and the rape of South Africa, a criminal settler colony that has been established like Israel there in that part of the world. I cannot go along with one man, one vote. Let me say why. If someone broke into your home, Mr. Donahue, and actually bum-rushed your home, and black boots stomped your door down, and came in and robbed and raped everyone in the household, and was able to take the wealth of your home and parlay it into an empire. This is an invader. This is an intruder. This is a murderer. This is a burglar. This is a criminal. So you have no responsibility to share your home with them after they broke in and committed the crimes that they did.
You want...
Now let me say this, because our brother is so on point with that. When I was coming up, propaganda had children like myself, black children like myself, honoring and supporting Nelson Mandela. Because he was like Martin Luther King. He was nonviolent and all this other stuff. When I got old enough to really do the research on it and I came across Winnie Mandela, my whole perspective changed. Everything that I thought I knew about that situation changed. And I stopped standing with Mandela, Nelson, and started standing with Mandela, Winnie. Because Winnie was about the business. She was setting it off with their heads type stuff. And so I agree with him 100-fold. Jesse, Nelson, all of these are our brothers. But we want our brothers to stop being used by the white supremacist system and start using your intellect, if you have it, to bring up and better the situation of black Americans. It's that easy. I don't hate any of these people. What I hate is them having no problem with being a puppet, with some man sticking his hand up their ass and working them like a puppet. And the man Donahue, he mentions Nelson Mandela, and Dr. Khalid explains to him, I can't be down with that one man, one vote. And look at South Africa today. Look at South Africa today, when they mustered up the courage to kick everybody out of the land and take the land back. They implemented and put in another puppet who returned the land to those people. This is happening in Africa, in a continent that is literally more than 90% black, African, if you want to call it that. But we're supposed to be so concerned about them over us. We're supposed to be more concerned that these white folks was moved off the land that they never owned, that they stole from people, and then created an apartheid system to where those folks are not even in control of the land that they themselves are. And now you got people like Elon Musk, who was born, I guess, in South Africa. he gets to claim to be an African. What type of sense does that make? So this is exactly what our brother was talking about 20 years ago. 20 years ago, our brother was talking about this. And 20 years later, he's still on point. Let's continue.
You said about South Africa, we give him, that is to say, white people, 24 hours to get out of town by sundown. That's all. If he won't get out of town by sundown, we'll kill every white that ain't right that's in sight in South Africa. We kill the women, we kill the children, we kill the babies, we kill the blind, we kill the cripple, we kill them all. We kill the faggot, we kill the lesbian, we kill them all. You say, why kill the babies in South Africa? Because they're going to grow up and oppress our babies, so we kill the babies.
Where's the lie? And when they did that, told them folks, you got X amount of time to get up out of here, or we coming in and we're taking everything back and we laying everybody out. The unfortunate part is that a puppet was implemented and put into that situation and gave back that land to those people. And none of our brothers and sisters acted a fool when they did so. See, there should have been some sort of overturn at that point. What do you mean give this land back to... Oh, okay, well, we're coming and getting you out of office forcefully. There's more of us than it is your puppet self. But that didn't happen. And look where South Africa is today. Let's continue.
Are you seriously presenting yourself as a man interested in the future of your people with this kind of rhetoric?
I'm just as interested in the freedom of my people as I am in the self-determination or the Kujichagulia, self-development, them being self-defining, self-respecting, and self-defending. If the white man has killed millions of our people, and you cannot deny the undeniable and indisputable and irrefutable truth, fact, proof, and history of their bloodshed there in South Africa. I said it would be merciful if they would leave. I don't agree with a government, a sham government. No man walks out of prison after 27 years and becomes the president unless there's a script and a plan behind the scenes to remove the economic sanctions from whites in South Africa, but no real plan for redistribution of the wealth. The Oppenheimers, the De Beers, and others there sucking the blood of our people. So I said, be merciful. Give them a period of time. Truman gave the Japanese a period of time. But when they didn't comply, he dropped the bomb on men, women, children, and babies.
Where, oh where, is the lie? I'm looking to the left, I'm looking to the right, I'm looking up, I'm looking down, I'm looking all around. I cannot find the lie. Can someone please help me? Because with these folks, it's a wave after wave after wave of hypocrisy. You want to ask us about our determination to protect ourselves, our land, our property. When you look at the history of America, every time we didn't build the city, every time we didn't literally pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps like they love to tell us so much, they sent in wave after wave of people to do mass unaliving And none of those folks were punished. They put town after town underwater and made them riverbeds. They burnt down town after town and then ran railroads through them. Town after town, they put highways through them. But yet, he wants to ask about us saying, well, hell, you have X amount of time, or else X will happen. And people like us, who's had these things done to us, supporting it is a problem. Is a problem. He said, how can you say you're for your people talking like this? That's the only way you're going to be for your people, ladies and gentlemen, if you're talking as militant as possible about protecting your people. That's what they don't like. They love the nonviolent Martin Luther King, but they can't stand the Martin Luther King that they assassinated. Let that sink in.
I make no apology for that statement. I believe that the invasion of South Africa was an act of unprovoked war. One nation against another nation. And nations must fight for the self-determination. They had no business there, Mr. Donahue.
Yes. Would you like to see Aristide return to Haiti to his rightful, duly elected position as president?
From what I have learned and studied of President Aristide, from what I can see and those I've been privileged to talk to who are close to him, he appears to be a very sincere man. He appears to be a man who really loves our people there and wants to see our people breathe free and correct the problems that colonialism and other disruptions is very definitely at the root of. However, Phil, I do not want to see my beloved brother, President Aristide, returned to Haiti by the power of a Bill Clinton. Because if Bill Clinton can help to return him there, he will always attempt to be the puppeteer who will pull the strings and try to dictate to my brother how he should carry out the affairs of government there.
Where is the lie? Do you know that Bill and Hillary Clinton are ordained voodoo priests in Haiti? Did you know that? If you didn't, look it up. Fact check me. And then what happened? A few years ago, it came out that the whole Clinton Foundation was stealing all the freaking donations that was going to Haiti. The Clinton Foundation is responsible for the condition Haiti's in today. I don't want to say fully responsible, partially responsible for the conditions that the Haitians find themselves in today, because a lot of them Haitians loved Bill Clinton. A lot of them Haitians loved Hillary. I saw so many documentaries where these folks were going over to Haiti and the Haitians was just palling around them and all this other crap. The same way black Americans loved Bill Clinton. But I digress. Excuse me. What I'm saying is, our brother, literally, in everything that he stated thus far, is still happening today, 20 years after this broadcast. This happened in 1994. We're in 2024. Let that sink in. Let it sink in. Let's continue.
Your comments appear to bespeak a political position in which you have no interest at all in reaching out and hoping and working for a multiracial community of harmony and peace. Am I correct in saying you have forsaken that ideal?
My arms are tired, Phil. We've reached out for 500 years.
Too late now.
We've faced tanks. We faced water hoses and cattle prods. Vicious dogs bit the breast of black women off in those protest marches of the civil rights movement. Vicious four-legged dogs sicked on us by two-legged dogs, bit into the groin and the private parts of black men, women, and children. So, Mr. Donahue, I believe that the white man is absolutely disagreeable to live with in peace, and that no one has been able to get along with him nowhere on the face 196,940,000 square miles of the planet Earth.
Look at all the white folks in the audience. Let me run that back a little bit. I want you to see the white folks in the audience, the faces of these white folks in the
with him
audience.
Nowhere on the face 196,900,000.
Look at these folks. Hate it. They hate it because they cannot dispute it. They can't dispute it. Look at the next roll of white folk.
40,000.
They hate it. They hate it because the truth overpowers any lie, anywhere, anytime. The Bible says, I shall put a fire in you which no man can dispute. And when they can't dispute it, they look like this. Let's continue.
Square miles of the planet Earth.
And so you will continue this rhetoric. You will continue
And action.
and action. Action. What kind of action? Strategy to effect what in the United States of America? Let's start with
Well,
us.
no wise general sits with a representative of the opposition to discuss battle strategy and battle plans before the entire world. I don't think that would be wise. But the mission of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the mission of my spiritual father, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, whom I love very much, and I want to be in that number when he takes 1 million black men to Washington, D.C. to call for reparations and justice. Their work is a work of liberation and salvation. Their work is a work to raise the mentally and spiritually dead black man and woman after we have been robbed of our names, our language, our religion, our culture, our God, our folkways, mores, and robbed of a power, the power of our own being.
Lift.
As I said, my brother speaks so elegantly, okay? And he speaks so calmly. But what he did was something that a lot of folks nowadays in our community have a problem doing, which is keeping that man out of our strategies. You got so many people get put on the news or get put on the program somewhere getting asked the question, well, what does Black America plan on doing about A, B, and C? And you see these folks start running their mouth 100 meters per hour. Anytime a white man put a microphone in his face and asks him a question, we need to be more strategic. We need to make sure that we're doing things just like our brother Dr. Khalid Muhammad. We need to make sure that we are not dropping too many jewels to an opposition of our freedom. To the opposition of our freedom and justice claim. There's so many people that I can name. So many. But this is a blank canvas. It's a blank canvas, excuse me. It's a blank canvas because if I was to give this to any one of you listening, I'm sure you can write down 100 names of people who's speaking a little bit too openly about black politics, black policy, black. I was going to say something else, but I don't want the tube to either label this as you got to be over 18 to watch and all this other stuff. So I'm trying to watch myself. But let me say this, it's chess, not checkers. And for the people who play chess, it's not even chess. It's 4-dimensional chess. It's 5-dimensional chess for the people who understand what 4-dimensional chess is. While our people out here playing checkers, they out here playing 5-dimensional chess. And they know they could just ask this question and people will just start running their mouth. I think it was Professor Black Truth that says if you want to know how a black man really thinks, put him in front of a white person. And if it wasn't Professor Black Truth, it was Jason Black. One of those two. But that's an absolute fact. If you're not willing to speak for our interests in front of a white person, but you do it in front of all the black folks that you come around, then you're just literally a puppet. You're a coon. You're a shoe tie. That's what you are. So when I say we need to be more like Dr. Khalid Muhammad when it comes to answering questions that's posed by the opposition to our freedom and justice claim, I mean that 100%. Let's continue.
Up the Pope's skirt to see what's under there? This is high school stuff. Words like faggot. It's an immature sort of failure to really get out of the old Beavis Butthead kind of environment.
Notice how he just tried to call Dr. Khalid Muhammad immature. Notice how he tried to use what Dr. Khalid Muhammad said without taking the meat from the bones, putting it in its full context. And this is what they continuously do. This is what they continuously do. Take everything out of context and put it into something where they can demonize you or make you look a certain way to a certain group of people.
Certainly you can't be proud of this kind of language that you use.
Well, if it is high school, then the Bible, listen for a second, the Bible speaks of lifting up the skirts of the garment. Oh, I'm surprised that you feel. It's a metaphor. It's symbolic language. I'm not at all interested in what is under the Pope's clothes. I'm not into that.
I'm going to replay that and then I'm going to say what I have to say because it's very important that our brother says that and gets that out.
For a second, the Bible speaks of lifting up the skirts of the garment. Oh, I'm surprised that you feel. It's a metaphor. It's symbolic language. I'm not at all interested in what is under the Pope's clothes. I'm not into that. It's a metaphor.
Our brother was so ahead of his time. He was. And the reason why I say that is because right now we're living in the age where nobody understands allegoric messaging. We're living in a time where metaphors are being taken literally. We're living in a time where people really believe the earth is flat. People really believe Atlantis existed without it being a black nation, because Atlantis did exist. But they don't tell you it was the Kemetic civilization. They found it underwater already, the underwater temples of Kemet. But when you speak about it from from Plato's view, Plato wasn't speaking about Atlantis as an actual place. It was an allegorical message. It was an allegorical message. It was the message, the moral of the story. That's where a lot of people get messed up. They take the story, but they don't find the moral. But the moral of the story when it comes to Atlantis is the overbearing power of government when it becomes unchecked. Plato said it himself. But there's a lot of people that's out here that love to sound smart, but they haven't done the research. There's a lot of people out here that wants you to believe that the pyramids was built by aliens some damn where. They want you to believe in the Anunnaki, but they don't want you to be able to break down the metaphorical value in what they're telling you. They don't want you to be able to disaggregate the data when it comes to the Anunnaki and what the metaphor in that is, what the allegorical message in that is. They don't want you to be able to disaggregate aliens or whatever else. Because when you disaggregate the data in that, when you separate it from the bull stuff, you get to see that all that stuff is talking about the African. That's it. When you talk about aliens, you're talking about the African. Technically, you're talking about the Caucasoid. But the reason why you're talking about the African when you speak about the aliens is because we come from stardust. That's a scientific fact. And since Africans were the first people on this planet, the stardust fell to this planet in order to make it happen. I'll go deeper and deeper and deeper. The reason why I started this channel originally and named it the Church of Black Power is because I want to empower people spiritually, mentally, and physically. I want to help bring up the spirit, the political mindset, and everything else that goes around it. So we're going to be getting a lot more deeper into these allegorical situations down the line. Since it's election season, we're going to be concentrating on the political aspects. But once we get out of election season, you're going to be seeing a lot more videos breaking you guys into the ancient science of who the hell we are as a people. Or maybe I'll just put that on my Patreon, because not everyone deserves that opportunity to sit at the feet of a tree. Oh, what does that even mean? Not everyone deserves to eat if they haven't done the work. Not everyone deserves to eat if they haven't done the work. Because if they eat without doing the work, they take advantage of what they're eating and think that they deserve it. They become entitled to it. And in other areas, they won't appreciate it as much. Which brings in the entitlement. Look at all the people who's crossing the border. The entitlement is real. Let's continue. Because I can go on and on about this subject, this topic. But like I said, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into the spirituality of the Church of Black Power a little bit later down the line, because I'm going to be breaking a lot of stuff down. Centuries of ancient knowledge. We're going to get into the ancient mystery system that nowadays these people are calling Masons, who are only 33 degrees of the knowledge that we have, the 360 out the circle, 720 when you put it all together. Yeah, all that is necessary. It's necessary to know. So we're going to be getting into that too. But let's get back to this video, because my brother is so on point. After 20 years, can't nobody today dispute what he is saying. Let me reiterate that. Can't no one today dispute what our brother is saying after 20 years. Let's go.
Let's see what's under there.
But it is a metaphor to say, let us expose the Pope, according to H. Shelton Smith, President Emeritus of Duke University, in his book entitled In His Image, quote, "The Catholic Church and the Pope were directly involved in the institution of slavery. They financed slavery and gave the okay that it was good business to sell Africans." Lift up the skirts of his garment so that we can see the shame and reveal what has been hidden. But it has nothing to do with sexuality whatsoever.
Here's another example of what our brother just said, because he just literally gave the reason why he said what he said, and he meant what he said in the allegorical sense. In the Bible, and here's the thing, I'm an African spiritualist, but I didn't read the Bible, I didn't read the Quran, the Torah, because when you are interested in you understand all that stuff comes from you. The major religions, all three major religions were one religion at one point. Nobody went and told anybody to go and create Christianity, to go and create Buddhism, to go and create Islam, to go and create Judaism. No one did it. But yet, So many people are stuck on, well, he's using something out the Bible. He's using something out the Quran. He must be this. He must be that. No, a person who of intellect will know these things. And getting back to what our brother had said and what I was going to add on to it, in the Bible it speaks about how Noah's son saw his nakedness. And Noah cursed Canaan because of that situation. Do you really think that Noah cursed his grandchildren because his son saw him naked? But if you can't break down that allegory, that's what you're going to think and refuse to disbelieve happened. And a lot of the people that's outside of our community who's a part of the napkin community truly believes in more allegorical situations. They can't break down the messaging. They can't break down the moral of the story. They can't break down the allegory. Even when the book tells you that it's a book of allegory, the Bible tells you it's a book of allegories. Christ said it to his dang disciples, didn't he? He told his disciples what? He told his disciples, to you, I will give the secrets of the secrets, but to everyone else, there will be nothing but mere allegory. See, this is the problem we're having today in 2024. We have people within our community following people in another community that can't even decipher allegory. And then we wonder what's wrong with our folk. They can't even get the moral of the story because they're getting trapped in the story itself. Wasn't real. But as long as you're living in that story, is real to you. So if you don't ever try to break down what is and what is, you will never get to the meaning or the moral of that story. And here's another thing. Many of you can't find the moral of the story because you have no morals. Did I say that? Yes, I said that. It's absolutely true. Many of you can't get to the moral of the story because you have no morals. That's Dr. Khalid right there flowing through me. Because that's a fact. A lot of the people who sit here and follow other people and then fight you when they look like you come from the same lineage as you. Come from the same lineage as you. But yet, they're fighting you over something that a napkin person told them, and they believe that napkin person more than you. Because they have no morals. They have no morals, so they can't get to the moral of the story. How can you expect a child to understand you when the child has cut both his ears off? The child went Van Gogh on both sides of his head. Chop one ear off, chop the other ear off, and you think that the child can hear you. You keep trying to bang your head against the wall trying to get the child to hear you. This is the problem that we have right now. To all my people out there that's believing in an Anunnaki and it's not you. To all the people that's out there believing in these aliens built the pyramids and it's not you. To all the people that's out here talking about the earth is flat. You better start learning how to decipher allegory. And start learning the meaning of the stories. If Africans knew the earth wasn't flat 12,000 years before the European even stepped on the planet, then why is now people in the black community having conversations on whether the earth is flat or not? These are people who have no morals, so they'll follow anyone. They have no education, they have no morals, so they can't get to the moral of the story. Let's go.
What do you suspect has been hidden?
I believe that it has been
And why would we want to lift up his skirt to discover what it might be?
Well, we're saying lift up the skirt again. I don't believe you're missing what I'm saying.
Well,
lifting up the skirt again, as the scripture says, raising the skirts of the garment.
Notice that he deliberately tossed what Dr. Khalid Muhammad just explained to him to the side and tried to make it literal once again. Dr. Khalid Muhammad just explained to him that it is an allegory, explained why he used that allegory, and then he turned right around and tried to make it literal once again. So what should that tell you about these napkin people that are trying to convince you of certain things? What should that tell you about all these napkin people all over the line trying to get you to believe that the aliens built the pyramids? What should that tell you about these people? When they're telling you that the Anunnaki has nothing to do with you, it's something outside of our universe, our earth. These are things that we deal with day after day after day. But when you study the master teachers, when you implement what the master teachers have taught us, you understand that there's a whole different world. And you can't allow them to come and bring you some nonsense of a world, and then you make it your own. It doesn't work like that. You have to call out the world for what it is, how it is, and what it's going to be, and what it has been. Let's go.
Say it once more for you, and only once more, has to do with revealing the history, the hidden history. When you lift up someone's garments, then you show their shame. You show up their private parts, that which they normally hide from the rest of the world. I'm not dealing with organs under the garment. I'm dealing with the organ of slavery and those parts that have been kept private from the masses of the people.
We are in New York City with Khalid Muhammad, and we'll be back in just a moment. Here is just one of the comments that provoked the Anti-Defamation League to take out a full-page ad in the New York Times and other newspapers. What the ADL did essentially was publish in the New York Times some of the things that you said. Here's a part, this is an audio tape, of part of your speech to Kane College last November that created such furor. Khalid Muhammad speaking.
The hook-nosed, bagel-eating, lox-eating, imposter perpetrating a fraud, Johnny-come-lately, just crawled out of the caves and hills of Europe, wanna be you.
As you guys can see on his face, I'm about to ask what I can tell is just pulsating in our brother's brain. I can see it pulsating as I'm speaking to this microphone right now. Speaking through this microphone right now. And what his brain and what our brother is thinking is, where's the lie? Where's the lie? He tried to bring up Jewish involvement within the slave trade earlier, if you guys noticed. And our brother gave him a book on it. Gave him a book on it. He didn't have to do that, because if you go to the Jewish Museum, you'll see articles saying that, and they'll say this too, well, if we did participate, it was just one or two of us. No. I've already done, and you can scroll down into my archives, and look for the anti-black. Hold on, I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's been a while. Anti-black racism within the Jewish community. Look for that video. And it breaks it down. I think it was like 2.5 hours. I even took a clip of a Jewish scholar who also were saying the same things that I was saying. I took a clip of him doing and put it in the clip too. So we know, if you've been following me for some time, we know. As a matter of fact, I'll link it to the end of this video. We know that as many people that was slave owners in America that was white, there was actually just as many people who were Jewish. And that's a fact.
Not presuming you haven't been asked this before, but may I ask you kindly to speak to the loved ones of Schwerner and Goodman, who died with one of your brothers, Cheney, buried in a shallow grave in the South in the middle of the Civil Rights Movement, because this black man was seen with two white Jews down there causing trouble, trying to promote the civil liberties of your people.
Before our dear brother say something about this, or say what he said about this, not something, say something that this man don't want to hear. Let me say this. If you notice, being black in America, and we're talking about civil rights, and we're talking about the Jewish participation in slavery and all this other stuff, you always get people bringing up those two Jews that was so-called slain with our black brother because he was seen with them. Even if that was the case, and it's very slim that that's the case, but even if that was the case, why the hell do we need to address those people when their participation in our oppression has been not just validated, but it's been visual? The ADL started because they literally was trying to get a Jewish man off of essaying a woman. And there was witnesses to it. Like I said, I'm gonna put the video at the end of this video, so you can just go ahead and watch that video right after. The ADL was started because of that. And you know what they said when they went into court? They said because the witness was a black janitor, they said that it was against, they shouldn't even have to even be dealing with this stuff because it goes against them being white. The court's taking the account of a nigger. That's what the ADL stood on. And every time you turn around, every time I get a chance, I do a video on Jonathan Greenblatt. Because he is one of the people that is literally, every time you turn around, he's trying to put something on black folk that had nothing to do with black folk. Like when that goddamn red-haired Jewish kid drove around a Jewish neighborhood shooting at Orthodox Jews with a BB gun. He tried to put that on black Americans. He tried to put that on the black Hebrew Israelites. He said out of his own mouth on the Breakfast Club that black Hebrew Israelites shot at an Orthodox Jew and his son. And then when the police arrested him and said it's a hate crime, he said, how can it be a hate crime when I'm a Jew? He said that as if the man was a black man, but when you look up the dude who shot the BB gun at those people, that man and his son, it is a napkin skin, red hair, Jewish boy. So when we're talking about these things, when we're talking about the participation of these so-called Jews, these Jewish, ish means to be like in the dictionary, so they're Jew-like, not Judean, which Jew actually stand for. It don't stand for all the 12 tribes of Levi. It's never stood for all the 12 tribes of Levi. It only stood for one particular tribe, which is the Judean. And if you don't do the studying, you would know that. All of them are Hebrews. All of them are Hebrews, not Jews. But every time we're speaking about their participation, they want to bring up these two men. Well, I'll do you one better. For those two men, let's bring up the hundreds of millions that's been massacred. Let's bring up the hundreds of millions that's been enslaved. Let's bring up the hundreds of millions of children that saw people that look just like those Orthodox Jews holding on and keeping all of them hostage. Against their wills. Beating them halfway to death, if not to death. Like, what is this? We're supposed to have more compassion for everybody else than ourselves and what we've been through. Let's continue.
2 Jews found in a shallow grave. I happen to have met the mother of one of these. Very brave people.
Let me say this. Fuck their mothers. Oh, whoa, did I just? Yes, fuck their mothers. Don't talk to me about how you met someone's mother and they were killed trying to defend us. That bullshit. Fuck their mothers. Because it's those same people, those same mothers, those same fathers, those same brothers, those same sisters, those same aunties, same uncles, same grandmas, same grandpas were the people that were sitting there allowing this stuff to happen to us and involving themselves in situations so that it can happen to us so that they would not be looked at in the wrong way. And this happened to every person that the white supremacists brought into this country. if they were white skinned, if they were napkin skinned. This happened to all of them. Look at how the Irish was treated when they got over here. Look at how the Italians were treated when they got over here. But those things were hazing processes, because once they were able to see how we are getting treated, now you got the people in the napkin community coming to them and say, hey, you can be a part of us and you won't ever have to worry about that again. But you gotta have to do that to them to assimilate. And that's what the Jews did. That's what the Italians did. That's what the freaking Irish did, and everyone else, the Ukrainians, everyone. Everyone. Let's continue.
And when she sees this, we can only speculate what must go on in her heart. You would want to say what to her?
I don't have anything to say to her.
You just condemned.
I do. Fuck her. Fuck her. Oh, this is going to be put over 18 years or older now, but I don't give a damn. Fuck her. I'm here for my people. I don't give a fuck about her. I don't give a fuck about her son. Fuck her. Fuck her son. If he was there to represent for Black Americans, he should have been there representing for Black Americans due to his people being a people of oppression to our people in and out of slavery. There were several goddamn slave ships owned by Jewish Americans. There were several plantations owned by Jewish Americans. And you want me to sit here and be a person to be so empathetic when they owed that to us? Just like napkin Americans today owe it to us. So if our dear brother Dr. Khalid Muhammad didn't say it, I just said it. Fuck them. Fuck them all. Because that's exactly what they feel about us. When you go to Israel and you look at the Black Africans that are there and how they're treated, if you can fix your mouth to say that you can be empathetic for those people when they ain't empathetic towards your own, I was about to call you all kind of stuffs, but you can fill in the blank. Screw them all. When you try to bring up situations, what do you think about this person? He died because he was trying to fight with you. He was supposed to. Because it was his people and other people that looked like him that implemented the oppression that my people went through and still continues to go through. Let's continue.
All Jews with that observation, with this alliterative kind of Jew bashing that so excites your largely male audiences.
Well, I wonder why. It means that I speak the truth. I speak to the pain and hurt of the masses of Black people. I speak that which many of them wish they could say. That's why they cheer and applaud.
Speak to Mrs. Goodman,
and I speak that also,
speak to
which
Mrs.
many
Goodman.
of them only whisper behind closed doors. I think it is very arrogant to put this on the screen, and for you and for others to attempt to tell me, one of the Holocaust's victims of the African Holocaust, displaced in the death and decadence of the diaspora of the Western world after having been robbed and raped and murdered, to tell me how to hurt. These are strong words that you put on the screen, but you cannot tell the aggrieved and the victim. As I was talking to Brother Malik Zulu Shabazz, the young student warrior from Howard University, and we were going over this. And we said, how do they expect to tell we who have suffered so much how we should speak? When you're hurt, you'll say faggot, you'll say cracker, but you don't want to give me time to say where these terms came from and how they apply to your people here in America.
And like I said, see, my brother is more elegant than I am, because I definitely can have this type of conversation with them, but I'm become more passionate. But I'm still learning, I'm still growing. But see, I aspire to be like my brother. The way he just broke it down so elegantly, and he didn't even have to raise his voice. I raise my voice because I'm passionate. I'm a passionate person when it comes to our people. And then I'm speaking to you guys. You're a part of my community. You're my people. So I don't have a problem speaking passionately. But I do watch myself when it comes to the emotion speaking to the other side of the opposition. Excuse me, not the other side of the opposition. Speaking to the opposition. Because we're the other side of the opposition. I find myself being very, very cordial while being very, very nasty in my speaking. And that's what I aspire to be. Dr. Khalid Muhammad broke this man down right there on his own TV show, on his own broadcast. Called him a hypocrite right to his face. And I love it. And these are the people that we need to lift up, adore, and give major honor to. Not the people that the opposition give you to glorify and lift up. And this is why Dr. Khalid Muhammad is one of the people that the black community holds so high. Because he's one of ours and not one of theirs. Let's continue.
If it is true that I don't want to give you time to explain the etymology of these words, it is also true that you apparently don't want to respond to my question regarding the loved ones of two Jews who lost their lives.
Yes.
Notice how he went back to the two Jews that lost their lives. He keeps going back to that. He's going to keep going back to that. You know why? Because God put a fire in Dr. Khalid Muhammad's stomach in which no man can dispute. So now he keeps trying to take it back to these women, the two Jews, the mothers of these two Jews, the Jewish men. He keeps trying to take it back there. He keeps trying to demonize Dr. Khalid Muhammad. Dr. Khalid Muhammad already said it's simple and plain, but yet he keeps taking it back to that aspect. He moved forward in the interview to move back to that aspect. You got to see what's going on. You got to see what they're doing and what he's doing and how they move and why they move. Neely Fuller said it best. If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, then everything else that you think you know will only confuse you. So you have to know what these people are doing, why they're doing it, and how they're doing it. Or you're going to get lost in the sauce. You're going to be over here calling Dr. Khalid Muhammad an anti-Semite too, when he is so far from that. When we as a people are so far from that, especially as a Semitic people. We're so far from it. We're the only Semitic people on the planet. The only Semitic people on the planet. Everybody else converted. But don't get me started there. That'll be another video. Don't worry. It'll be another broadcast. I got that one for you too.
To stop the diaspora of the black people?
I don't know.
Do you have any?
I don't know why they were there, and you don't know why they were there. But
Really?
I must say this.
So you're wondering whether they were there for your people?
I'm not wondering at all about them.
What
I'm concerned with the suffering and the pain of the masses of black people. No one wants to pay reparations. The Jews received over $100 billion in reparations and gets $4 billion annually. A Holocaust museum was set up for them on this soil for over $200 million, and they get $21 million annually just for operating expenses. But the Catholic Church, the Pope, the Jews, the Arabs, white people in general, no one wants to pay reparations to these, the sons and daughters of Africa. So I speak to them. I don't speak. I speak to them. I don't speak to the family of those two Jews. There are too many of us for me to speak to them.
I don't speak to those two Jews because it's too many of us dealing with what we deal with. Where is the lie? 20 years after this interview, they still take everything that black Americans say and do when we're calling out the hypocrisy and the lies of the Jewish community. Oh yeah, you're anti-Semite. Well, how the hell is that when I'm a Semite in myself? I mean, if you read your Bible, your Torah, it tells you that the Africans are the only Semitics. If you're not African, how are you Semitic when you moved there? And then when you open the Jewish Encyclopedia, which you guys will see in the video that I'll link, it tells you that you're Khazars. You came from Poland, you came from Russia, you came from all these European states. And then you forced yourself into the Middle East, which isn't really the Middle East. It's still Africa. You forced yourself into Africa. Because if you do the research, at one time, Africa controlled majority of Asia. I was talking to a person the other day, and he was telling me how he found out that he was like, man, you know, we are not the original Mexicans, man. You know what I'm saying? We took this land from, you know, Africans and this, that, and the third. Whoop. And I'm like, no shit, Sherlock. And then one of his other friends come in and says some dumb stuff. He says, well, if you feel that way, then you think that Asians and Europeans are African too. And I said, not Europeans, but Asians, yes. If you look at the Asian customs and the history of it, the first empire in Asia, I believe it was the Zhai Empire, were Africans. The person who created martial arts was an African man that went through the jungle studying the different mannerisms of different animals. You can't even be a samurai unless you have a drop of African blood. That is their custom. Not ours. Not mine. So when we speaking about these things, we have to put our chest all into it, because these folks, they try their hardest to group us all in or segregate just the black man and make us feel bad for everyone else. No. No. As our brother, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, so elegantly said, I speak to my people, not to everyone else. Everyone else can listen and I don't give a damn. But I'm speaking to my people. Who knows what we are owed? Who knows what we deserve? Who aren't afraid of voicing that? I speak to you all. Because the people around you need to hear it. And you all are the people that can do it. Change the minds of the masses. That can happen. But my brother said it so much better than I can ever say it. I don't speak to you. I speak to them, my people. Let's continue.
You don't want to take any time to make any particular
We've given
statement.
all the time we've been in America. Now it's time we do something for ourselves. We are the same people, Phil, that when you beat us and rearrange our eyeballs in the socket and rearrange our face and beat us and stomp us before the world, we're the same people that get up because God just made us with tender and sensitive hearts as his chosen people and say, well, can't we just get along?
Notice how that white woman shook her head as if he's telling a lie. Hold up. Let me rewind that. Because I want y'all to see that.
You don't want to take any time to make any particular
We've given
statement.
all the time we've been in America. Now it's time we do something for ourselves. We are the same people, Phil, that when you beat us and rearrange our eyeballs in the socket and rearrange our face and beat us and stomp us before the world, we're the same people that get up because God just made us with tender and sensitive hearts as his chosen people and say, well, can't we just get...
Y'all saw how that white woman was shaking her head? But here's also the situation that infuriates me. That's the same type of white woman who said she supported Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King. But as soon as Martin Luther King started talking like Khalid Muhammad, started talking like Malcolm X, talking about coming to Washington to get his check, to get our check, all of a sudden, the support is gone and he's assassinated. And it's the napkin woman that you just seen shaking her head, looking at him like she didn't approve. It was those type of people that took out the people that she approved of. The non-violent got assassinated just like the militant. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever forget that. Our brother is sitting here speaking truth to light, and she's sitting there shaking her head as if this is unacceptable. Well, bro, let me tell you something. Your people created the situation to us being here saying this. So why are you shaking your head? Why are you doing it? Let's continue.
Get along.
Be united. The United States House of Representatives, in an unprecedented action. I don't know whether there's a precedent for the U.S. House to take its time to debate and vote on the condemnation of a private citizen, but it has done that. 435 members of the House of Representatives debating the condemnation of Mr. Muhammad. Here are two members of the House on opposing sides. Calling for the censoring of Mr. Muhammad is Congressman Lantos, followed by Congressman Abercrombie, who makes a statement in behalf of free speech. Watch this, House of Representatives.
On November 29, 1993, at Keene College in New Jersey, Mr. Khalid Mohammed, a senior representative of the Nation of Islam, delivered an outrageous and violent attack on the principles of racial, religious, and ethnic intolerance. His attempt to incite violence by preaching bigotry and hatred must be swiftly and forcefully condemned by this body.
Governmental sanction against any speech, objectionable as it may be, is always suspect. The Constitution has proven to be our strongest safeguard against the Mohammeds of the world. Let us respect and revere the Constitution of the United States and vote down this resolution.
Congressman Abercrombie's position did not carry. The final vote by the House of Representatives on the matter of condemning Mr. Muhammad was 361 yea, 34 nay. You have, sir, been condemned by the United States House of Representatives. I assume you are flattered by that action.
I believe that my ancestors, I believe that the blood that cries out from the grave of my ancestors who went to an untimely death at the hands of the white wicked slave traders, I believe that they cry out. Their spirit is around me and their spirit emanates from me. And I believe that as a righteous man of God, but as a freedom fighter and a revolutionary, it is one of the greatest honors that could be paid.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
And we're going to end there, but I want to say this before we go. Dr. Khalid Muhammad was one of the only people, him, Farrakhan. Farrakhan was the only person that was removed from social media. Dr. Khalid Muhammad was one of the only people that's been condemned for their speech. You don't see Congress condemning any of the KKK members, any of the David Dukes of the world. You don't see that. You don't see that. When we stand for Ujikanjalia, self-determination, they want to condemn you. And in this case, they had condemned our brother. All while not condemning not one white supremacist, one KKK, none of that. But they want you to condemn everything about yourself. So 20 years after our brother, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, did this interview with Donahue, we're still sitting, looking, and dealing with every single thing that our brother spoke about on this stage. Every single thing that our brother spoke about on this stage, we are still dealing with. So I must deduce, I must conclude that Dr. Khalid Muhammad, after 20 years, is absolutely and unequivocally still on point. If you ain't hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. If you haven't hit the like button already, go ahead and hit that like button. Because the truth of the matter is, if you cannot point out the lie to me, you should be hitting that like button. Or you should be getting on. That's just the fact. Share this out. Bring this message to someone who don't understand who Dr. Khalid Muhammad is. Because trust me, their narrative of Dr. Khalid Muhammad is not the narrative of Dr. Khalid Muhammad within the black community, if you know who he is. The same way they tried to demonize Malcolm X. Now they're trying to glorify him because we stand for Malcolm X. Let's be very clear about that. Let's be very clear. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this as well. Let me know what you think about everything Dr. Khalid Muhammad said. Let me know what you think about what is your favorite thing. Let's do that. What's your favorite thing that Dr. Khalid Muhammad said in this interview? And if you don't want to do that, just tell me in your comment, where is the lie? Because like I said, I look left, I look right, I look up, I look down, I looked all around. I can't find the lie, and I really would appreciate if someone would help me find it if there's one there. Let's not act like we don't know the truth about America. Because America knows the truth about itself. And with that being said, the doors of the church are now closed. Peace, family.